This has been another unusual year, not necessarily as bad as the last couple's been, but we've had to cancel a couple of competitions. So we're going into the conference meet a bit less about ourselves than we're used to knowing. And so this has become a very important meet for us.
Guys, go ahead with your questions.
Eddie, tell me about retirement. You take up some hobbies. You guys travel the world for a few. Oh, wait, you retired for like 5 minutes. What was that like to make that call? And you feel different when you came back? I know you didn't leave the pool, but, you know, just making that commitment again.
Well, I made the call, I think, Saturday morning of the NCAAs. And actually, Chris Del Conte is ahead of the game in most games. I called him and we were talking and he said, "No, don't tell me." I said, "What?" Said, "You're going to retire." And I just told him he was right. But I was supposed to retire in August. And by the time we got to August, he had already talked me into, I don't know that I retired. I retired verbally, nothing physical. And he's just a hard man to say no to. I came out of his office that day, and as we're at the door, I turned to him and I said, "Have you ever listened to anything anybody has told you during one of these meetings?" Said, "Nope, got my own agenda." And that is the truth. Guy made this an easy.
Him talking you back into it, but what you've done and for so many years and national championship, and that morning you're talking about hanging it up. So was that also part of the pullback?
No, that wasn't part of it at all. I know I've had a pretty good career, but I don't look at that. That's not what's happening now. All I look at is what's happening now and how can it get us to all be faster swimmers in the future. Because you can't go by the past. Because if you run a good program, everybody's better the next year. So that athlete is different than they were the year before. So it takes different stimuli to have them get faster. And you know that, whatever you do, whether it's a good game of golf or a good game of ping pong, if you're getting better, you're loving it. Improvement is the name of the game.
Did you have a different, or have you had a different perspective this season, knowing that retirement, though it was just verbal, not a physical thing, it was there on the horizon?
About the last 10 years, I've known that every year that I work, I get closer to retirement. So I've never really worried about it. I don't believe there'll ever be a good time because we look at the guys we've recruited for this next year. It's one of the best classes we've ever had. And the one after that is the best class anybody's ever had. And so you get to know them, you get to love them. Tough to leave them. Because when you quit coaching, you quit, the amount that you care diminishes. the longer time you're away from it. That doesn't appeal to me.
Eddie, I'm curious, with the Winter Games in Beijing, did that stir up some memories of seeing that pool, now a Winter Olympic venue, but still, that was a pretty special 2 weeks, 13 and a half years.
And amazing. And it was amazing for everybody, not just Michael Phelps. But I remember that 400 freestyle relay. When you have an individual in an event that's going on at the moment, you're allowed to sit down on the deck. Otherwise, you don't get on the deck. And so Jack Bowerly and I were sitting down on the deck during that race. And when the last two guys went in, we thought it was all over. And then in the last 50, you could see there was a change. And that started a phenomenal Olympics for all of us, men and women.
Matt spoke about a sense of urgency at this time of year, and how it looks different in swimmers than it does in divers. Do you see a different sense of urgency?
Well, we've got 14 swimmers that are already qualified for the NCAAs. That's why we do that invitational in early December. So we don't get to hear and have somebody sick or hurt and they can't make the cut. But diving, they dive at conference, and a week later, they go to their sectional meet where they have to qualify to go to the NCAAs. And that's all done on places. Ours is all done on times. You go fast enough, you go. They can dive and set a NCAA record in the prelims and have a miss two dives in the finals. They don't get to go. So it's an important time for all of us. Like I said earlier, we have missed a couple of meets along the way. And we schedule meets to find out where we are and give them a little bit of break. I don't want to say the boredom of practice, because I don't want them to ever hear me say that, even though boredom may be the right word. But give them a break from practice. A day can be against the UT basketball team. My guys will start getting ready for it. So that's good.
You said you know a little less about your team than previous years going into the conference. What do you expect to see this week?
Well, those 14 guys are coming in unshaved. And there were two conference meets, two big men's conference meets this past weekend, ACC and the SEC. And even on the men's side and women's side, it is way faster than last year. Last year, we were all just getting over or getting used to the COVID issues. And those guys were really, really fast. Had to scare a lot of people, other than just me. But it was eye-opening. If I weren't in the sport coaching now, it'd be very difficult to believe how fast people are going. And I'm a dreamer. I can dream fast times. Not only are they dreaming them, they're doing them. And I look at it, I tell my team, all this means is that it gives us permission to go as fast or faster.
So this is really going to be a big gauge for you for the step to the NCAAs then.
This is one of the most important conference meets for us in the last 10 or 15 years.
And that says a lot. That's 42 straight.
Luckily, I've been able to forget all of those. I keep hoping my memory will go, but it just hasn't done it yet.
It's got to be fun though to make this, makes it fresh. I mean, for you, this is different
Yeah.
than recent years, and you're pretty excited about it. It sounds like.
Yeah, the guys are too. They understand the situation. When you go into a meet unshaved, and this is probably the least amount of rest we've had in years going into the conference meet. So this is a very.
You said that the times are so fast that you wouldn't believe them if you weren't in coaching right now.
Not
Is that just athletes, just as time progresses, they're bigger, stronger, faster, or what's the logic behind this?
perfect. I really believe Michael Phelps, and to a lesser part, Ryan Lochte, those guys have made swimming more attractive, and we're getting better athletes in. My team averages 6'5". And they're, for guys that spend the amount of time they spend in the water, they get real strong in the weight room. I've got guys, 10 or 15 of them, that do sets with 300 pounds on deadlift, 200 pounds on bench. And you're talking about guys with long arms, thin chests, which is not conducive to a bench press. Strength is the name of the game. That's why so many people in our history and in the Olympics, they cheat. They cheat to get stronger instead of work hard to get stronger. That's why we get testers from different organizations in here every month, testing all our best swimmers. I want them to keep doing that. I want them to test everybody.